draw will start in about 5 minutes. I am outside while you are inside. There's plenty of room outside. We are sort of around the corner if you walk around the back. But you can feel free to watch inside. You can also come join us in the beautiful outdoors. We'll be kicking it off in just a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. We want to thank you for coming and joining us for the draw for the 150th running of the Run Happy Travers. Before we get on with the draw, we have a number of awards and things we'd like to present to you. So to handle those duties is my good friend and coworker, Greg Wolf.
Feel free to clap. But you don't have to. No, Andy, thank you very much. Before I begin, I would definitely like to thank the Adelphi Hotel for hosting this event tonight. This year's Travers, like last year, once again, sponsored by the champion sprinter, Run Happy, and we very much appreciate the continued support of Run Happy's owner. We all know as Mattress Mac, James Mackingville, so thank you very much for that. Also would like to thank F. Gorovic and Son for their support of tonight's draw. Travers, of course, it's not only the highlight of the summer racing calendar and so special here at Saratoga, it's also one of the oldest and one of the most important races in the entire country for 3-year-olds. This prestigious race carries a storied history, and 150 years later, it remains one of the most sought-after victories in the entire industry. And I know some have said this, and they've said it publicly. For some, it's even up there higher on their list than winning the Kentucky Derby. Look very much forward to this Saturday's milestone edition, crowning another champion whose name will be inscribed on the Man of War Cup right here. Man of War Cup, of course, is not only the Travers tradition we have at Saratoga. Many of you know also, you see that canoe sitting on the infield in the pond. And each and every year that is painted in the colors of the winning connections of the reigning Travers champion. And for a few more days, that honor belongs to last year's Run Happy Travers winner, Connections of Catholic Boy. That would be owners Robert LaPenta, Mataquette Stables, Sienna Farms, and Twin Creeks Racing Stables. Of course, trainer Jonathan Thomas and record-setting jockey, 6-time Travers winner, Javier Castellano. Congratulations. So right now I'm delighted to ask New York Racing Association CEO and President Dave O'Rourke, along with the Mayor of Saratoga Springs, Meg Kelly, to come up and present Jonathan and Javier, each with a miniature replica Travers canoe to commemorate last year's victory. Unfortunately, John Panagat is not here on behalf of Robert LaPenta, so I can take his, and I'll hold it for him, I promise. So as we celebrate the 150th running of this truly historic race, it was important for the New York Racing Association to say, let's bring a celebration outside the gates of this historic racetrack and bring it into the community. And that's why you've maybe noticed downtown a little bit more buzz going on this evening. Musical entertainment throughout town. Some of the best jockeys in the entire world signing autographs. Definitely would like to thank Mayor Meg Kelly and the city of Saratoga Springs. Todd Shimkus from the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce. Deanne Devitt from the Saratoga Springs Downtown Business Association for working with the New York Racing Association to help coordinate all of tonight's festivities. So thank you very much. You may also have noticed a number of beautifully designed storefronts throughout town over the last few weeks featuring racing-themed decor in honor of this year's 150th running of the Travers. Approximately 24 businesses took part in a Travers 150 window decorating contest. And so we're going to now announce the winners selected by a panel of judges that included the Chamber, Downtown Business Association, and New York Racing Association, as we direct your attention to the televisions with photos of the winning displayed. So they're going to be up here. May reveal, we have the top 3 here in a loop. So it was a dead heat for third place between the Adirondack Trust Company and Saratoga Dance. Congratulations. In second place in the contest, G. Willikers. with the starting gates and the horses. Very nice. And grand prize winner of the Run Happy Travers 150 window decorating contest, Caroline and Maine, who truly went all out. This is very special. Everyone caught the theme there, I hope. Midsummer Night's Dream. It took me a minute, but very nice. Well done. Well thought out. Congratulations to each of our winners. We look forward to hosting on Travers Day, so well done. And special thanks to all the merchants and everyone who participated. Really helped make the town feel a lot more festive and get in the mood of this truly historic race. So once again, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight and encourage you to join us on Saturday for Run Happy Travers Day as we look forward to the 150th running of this race. So I'm going to bring it back now to my partner, Andy Serling.
I gave Greg $100 to do that for me. Now, one of the important parts of the evening, the draw for the 150th Run Happy Travers. And to do that, of course, we'll bring up the usual suspects, Larry Colmus, our track announcer, and from the racing office, Jory Gorski and Keith Dolashell.
All right, we're just about set to go here. We're going to have a field of 12, as you see on your draw sheet. One thing to take note as we get set to do this draw is there is one change of equipment, and that is on Tacitus. Blinkers on Tacitus. That is the only change of equipment that we have, and we've got 12 of them. And we're just about set to go here. Whenever you guys are ready, let's do it. Let's see where they're going to be in the gate in the Run Happy Travers for the 150th time. We'll start with Chess Chief. That's number 8. Owned by the estate of James Coleman Jr., trained by Dallas Stewart. With Mike Smith in the saddle, Chess Chief will be number 8. Scars Are Cool, post 10 for Sagamore Farm, trainer Stanley Huff, jockey Tyler Gaffleone. Scars Are Cool will be number 10 in the Run Happy Travers. Highest Honors has drawn post position number 3 for owner W.S. Farish, trainer Chad Brown. Jockey Luis Saez. Highest Honors will be number 3 in the Run Happy Travers. Ever Fast will be post position number 5, owned by Calumet Farm, trained by Dale Romans, with Martine Schwann doing the riding. Ever Fast, number 5. Laughing Fox is the next one, and that'll be post number 4. Owned by Alex and Joanne Lieblong, trained by Steve Asmussen, with Ricardo Santana Jr. Laughing Fox is the 4 in the Run Happy Travers. Mucho Gusto, number 7. Owned by Michael Lund Peterson, trained by Bob Baffert. Joe Talamo coming in from California to ride Mucho Gusto, who will be number 7. Looking at Bikinis is the next one. Post position number 9. Owned by Long Lake Stable, Madaket Stables, Thomas Coleman, and Doheny Racing Stable. Trained by Chad Brown. Javier Castellano looking for another Travers win. Looking at Bikinis will be coming out of post 9. Tacitus, number 6. Owned by Judmont Farms, trained by Bill Mott. Jose Ortiz will once again be in the saddle on Tacitus, who will break from post 6. Endorsed, post 11. Owned by Godolphin, trained by Kieran McLaughlin. Joel Rosario will be the rider on Endorsed from post number 11. Owendale has drawn the rail. Post 1 for Owendale. Owned by Rump Racing, trained by Brad Cox with Florent Giroux. Owendale will be number 1. Tax, post 12. Owned by R.A. Hill Stable, Reeves Thoroughbred Racing, Hugh Lynch, and Corms Racing Stable, trained by Danny Gargan. Irad Ortiz Jr. will be the jockey on Tax, who has drawn the far outside, post 12. One more. And that's Code of Honor, who has drawn post 2 for W.S. Farish. Trainer Shug McGahee and jockey John Velasquez will be aboard Code of Honor, post position number 2. So that's the field of 12. I'll give you these back, and we will go over the morning line odds set by David Aragona. From the top, we'll start with Chess Chief, who again has drawn post position number 8. Morning line odds 30-1 on Chess Chief. Code of Honor, post position number 2. The second choice on the morning line, 4-1. 4-1 Code of Honor. Endorsed is the 11. Odds 15-1. 15-1 on Endorsed. Everfast post 5 is 30-1. 30-1 Everfast. Highest Honors post position number 3. Morning line odds 10-1. 10-1 Highest Honors. Laughing Fox post 4. 30-1. 30-1 Laughing Fox. Looking at Bikinis, post position number 9 is 10-1. 10-1 on Looking at Bikinis. Mucho Gusto, again post 7, odds 6-1. 6-1 on Mucho Gusto. Owendale, post 1 is also 6-1. 6-1 on Owendale. Scars Are Cool has drawn post 10. Morning line odds 30-1. 30-1 on Scars Are Cool. Tacitus, who will break from post position number 6, is the morning line favorite at odds of 5-2. 5-2 on Tacitus. And Tax, who will break from the far outside, post 12, is 6-1. 6-1 on Tax. So those are your post positions and their morning line odds from David Aragona for the 150th running of the Run Happy Travers. And I'm going to turn it back to Andy. We'll meet some of the participants in the race.
No, we don't need to give Larry a big hand. I'm going to make sure this one is on. I want to thank, of course, the connections of all of the horses running the race for coming and taking some time out of their busy schedule to join us. Bill Mott has the favorite, Tacitus, and Bill Mott is here somewhere. Could spend a couple minutes with us discussing Tacitus in this year's 150th Travers. Tacitus has been, at least in my opinion, perhaps as unlucky a horse in the big three-year-old races as any could have won the Belmont, ran very well in the Kentucky Derby, and was unlucky to finish second in the Jim Dandy. He will get his chance to do it on the racetrack in this Travers, as Mr. Mott will make his way through this crowd, signing autographs. Thanks, Bill. I think this one's working. It is. I give you a mic. I trust you. I'm not giving it to Romans. Any thoughts on your post position?
It's got to be good. I mean, we're in the middle, and you can get a good trip from that post or a bad trip from that post. So we're hoping for the good trip.
As we are. We're hoping everyone gets a good trip in this race. He had a very, very good and tough race in Jim Dandy. How has he been training since that effort?
He's been good. Fortunately, out of the Jim Dandy, I mean, he didn't, as badly as he stumbled, I mean, he really could have done some damage if he would have reached up and grabbed a quarter or he could have grabbed himself badly. But, I'm glad he didn't do a somersault in that race or do some damage, but he's come back very good. And training well, I think his training has been good. We've actually added some blinkers to his last couple of works, and I thought that maybe they helped him focus a little bit.
Now, are you looking for, I mean, redemption's a funny thing in racing, but he has been unlucky in his last 2 races. Are you looking for a chance to get some redemption, not just for the horse in such a big race?
Well, he's run well enough. I think we're just looking for that breakout race and, for him to have his day in the sun. So, hopefully the Travers will be that day. I don't think anybody owes us anything. We've just, nobody stumbled but him last time. Nobody made him do it. And, he had the wide trip in the Belmont, but, stuff happens, right? So, we'll hope things go better for him this time.
Things have a way of sometimes evening themselves out. It's funny looking at the Travers. I think it's one of the few big races in racing at all, completely racing, but also at NYRA, that you've never won. What would a Travers win mean to you?
I think it would mean as much to me as a Triple Crown race. I think, I'm not so sure it wouldn't just mean more. I mean, it's been a race that I've watched every year for quite a while, and a lot of good horses come together in this race, and some of the horses that have been through the Triple Crown, but also some of the horses that have come around late in the year and a little later developers, and I think if you look back, there's been some very good horses that wound up in the winner's circle in Travers, and we'd like to have one of them.
And his dam, Closed Hatches, you trained her. Does that make it him a little more special to you?
Being able to train the families of these horses is very, very special. I mean, just it gives you some insight into the horse. Although I don't think Tacitus is really a lot like his mother. I mean, it seems like he's got a little from the other end, and he's a big, strong horse, one of those horses that just he can keep ticking off 12s as long as you want to, go around there. But it has a good disposition and has ability, which his mother had a lot of that. She was a very special mare.
All right, Bill, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck in this Saturday's Travers.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Trainer Shug McGay is no stranger to the winner's circle, really, in everywhere and in big races, and particularly in the Travers, a race that he won 3 times in a span of 10 years, a really remarkable achievement. He will be bringing Code of Honor, who is the second choice in the morning line, and we're very pleased to have Shug to spend a couple of moments with us talking about Code of Honor. Shug McGay. Thanks, Shug. Any comments on the post?
No, it doesn't worry me. I mean, it's the luck of the draw, whatever you get. They'll spread themselves out going 1.25 miles, and, we got a good rider in Johnny Velasquez, and he'll know how to navigate around there, so I wasn't going to worry about the post.
How's he been training since he last ran in the Dwyer in July?
Well, of course, everybody's going to say real good, but he has been training well. I thought he was a little bit lazy coming out of the Dwyer for 3 or 4 days, and, when we got him up here, he's done everything I've asked for. He had a good blowout yesterday, and I think he's enjoyed his time up here, and we'll just see what happens Saturday.
He ran very well in the Derby. Do you still have any questions about the 10 furlong distance?
I really don't. I mean, he's by Noble Mission, and he was long on the grass in Europe, and I think he will. It's just kind of he needs to be ridden right, and he'll get ridden right, and he's a one-run horse, and you just got to be patient with him and kind of get him a trip. And in the Derby, not trying to sit here and say he might have won, but he was compromised a little bit. When the horse came back over a little bit maximum security, and I think he sort of kind of flinched a little bit from that too, and took away maybe from his run just a little bit. But he was third, and he was probably third best, and we got lucky that he moved up to second. So.
A lot of people make something about having experience on the racetrack. Code of Honor broke his maiden at Saratoga. Is that something that you feel makes you a little more confident?
Well, I've thought all along, should I take him over the main track and work him? And he never went over the main track before he ran last time, so I just kept him on the training track, and that's sort of the way I do it. And it's worked out fine for him, and we'll just see what happens.
So a possible fourth Travers, you'd get ahead of Wayne Lucas, tie with Elliott Birch, one behind Burt Mulholland's record. Does a win like that in a race like that mean a lot to you?
Well, no doubt. I mean, when you start talking about, guys that trained horses with those names, it's pretty special even to be thought of in that way and talked about. So, I'm like Bill. The Travers is a big race. I finished second, third in it before I ever won it, and I really wanted to win it. And when we were able to win it, it was a special day. And then we came back the next year and won. And Coronado's Quest won in a great race. Now there was one there that I think probably the rider did more than anything. And so we're up here. It's probably the biggest race in the summer. The Triple Crown's over with, and everybody that's training is trying to position their horse that if they've got one good enough to get him to this spot and try to do the best that they can do, and then we'll see what happens Saturday afternoon.
All right, Shug. Well, best of luck at the race, and thanks so much for taking the time to join us. Shug McGay. Trainer Danny Gargan brings the Jim Dandy winner Tax into the Travers as one of the choices. Danny, thanks so much for joining us. Have a mic.
Good to see you, Andy.
Good to see you, too. Any post-position comments? I have to ask. They yell at me if I don't ask it.
I really don't like it, but what are you going to do? Now, if he wins this one, we won't underrate him, right?
Well, you do have a quarter mile sort of to get over, and, you do have some speed, maybe, not a ton of speed.
We're going to see how fast they are now. Somebody's going to have to be real fast, because I'm going to have to heat it up.
Okay, everybody be warned. Danny Gargan is heating it up.
Well, I have no choice from the 12-hole, so I'm going to break running and see where we send. So whoever's going better be ready.
How's he training since the Jim Dandy?
Training really good.
The extra furlong, is it all a concern?
Not really worried about that. I run a little short horse in the Belmont. I think he's a little fitter now, a little better. So, if he wins from the 12-hole, they won't say somebody should have beat him.
Obviously, winning big races is something that all trainers dream of. What would winning a race like the Travers mean to you?
Well, it mean a lot, but winning every race means a lot. You're at Saratoga. If you have a big meet here and shoot 30% at every meet consistently, it ought to mean something to be a winner.
All right, Danny, we wish you the best of luck. And we wish the best to everybody that tries to run with Tax, apparently. Danny, thanks so much. Danny Gargan. Trainer Chad Brown has two runners in this year's Travers. Chad is here, and he's going to join us. He has highest honors and the unfortunately named Looking at Bikinis. Right, Chad? Yeah. You have two posts to comment or not comment on. Any thoughts?
I like both posts, so no complaints here.
Both horses come out of the same race in the Curlin. Have they been training well since that race?
Yeah, they've been training really well. Kind of tail of two trips there. Looking at Bikinis, it's kind of on the lead and a wet track, a wet rail. I don't think he really cared for it, so hoping to just draw a line through that one. And, of course, Highest Honor's got a really good trip and got out to a good part of the track late and took advantage of it.
Talking about Highest Honors, he's run well in all three of his races, but two of those three races have been on wet tracks. Do you have any concerns that he might be a little better at a wet track, and we expect, thankfully, to have a dry one on Saturday?
No, he's always trained really well on a dry track, even when he was a 2-year-old before we got to run him, so I'm not concerned about that at all.
And Looking at Bikinis, getting off, do you feel, some of us feel that the rail was a legitimate excuse for him. Do you feel similarly?
I do. He's still going to have to step it up and run the best race of his life. We all know that. And get more distance, which we're now a little unsure about. But, he's always trained like a really top horse, and he was the favorite in the race last time. So I wasn't the only one that thought a lot of him. And I think on a dry track, getting to the outside with this post, he'll run a lot better.
You won last week's Alabama, obviously, with Dunbar Road, and that was a career first in the Alabama. The Travers is a race you've often talked about as perhaps the biggest goal in your career at this point. Are you excited once again to have an opportunity to try to win it?
Yeah, I am, and I got to tell you, I don't think I've had a better shot than this year because both horses are coming in fresh. And I love the way they're training over the track, and I think it's a year that there's a handful of horses that could win. I think we have a couple of them.
All right, Chad, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck.
Thanks.
Trainer Chad Brown. Brad Cox is in town, and he's in town with Owendale, who I believe is 6-1 in the morning line. Very happy to have Brad here. He's going to sing for his food, as I warned him he would have to. Thanks, Brad. Any thoughts on your post, drawing inside?
It's okay. No big deal. He's not. I think he'll sit back, let the pace go, and make the most of it.
All right. Sorry, I have to ask the post questions. How's he? He has not run since the Ohio Derby, which is in late June. Are you at all concerned with the gap in time?
Not really. I thought his Lexington was the best race to date, and similar layoff or gap between races. So it was by design.
Has he been training well since then?
Yeah, his work 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago at Churchill were phenomenal. Galloped out huge, and he's coming in this race in good shape. Very similar to the Preakness, I feel like.
Which was just a 16th of a mile short in this, and that and the Lexington's best races. Does that give you confidence that the 1.25 miles will be no problem?
It's a little bit of a question being an end of mischief, but he's a big horse with a big stride, so hopefully he can, as long as he can get through the track, he'll be all right.
Are you at all concerned? Well, I guess nobody has to be concerned about the pace anymore because Danny just told us it's going to be a fast pace. So that's good for you, right?
Yes.
Do you thank Danny for that?
We're up together.
Unfortunately.
Danny, your owners are here. Be careful. Randy's always ready to go. Do you think that Owendale, I mean, his biggest race obviously was the Preakness so far, and he went to the Ohio Derby. Are you excited to have a chance to run against the top horses in a race as big as the Travers with Owendale?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a step up. I mean, he's not faced horses like, I don't think a field quite like this. The Preakness was a solid race, but not quite as deep as this race. So he does have to step up.
All right, Brad. Well, good luck, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks. Trainer Brad Cox. Kieran McLaughlin is no stranger to the winner's circle in the Travers. He had to share it, but he didn't mind sharing it that day when Alpha won a few years ago. Kieran, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Any post thoughts?
They've been saying the inside. I listen to you every day say how bad the inside is, so I'm happy we're out there.
It's been a little better lately, I think.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm confused. Are you confused by it? It's been
It
hard.
changes, but it's been, for the most part, not the place to be.
It appears, really, not just because I said it?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make
Correct.
sure. I want you on record as
Right.
that. How's he been training since the curling?
He came out of the curling great, better than he went into it, we feel like, and he's training great, and we're happy to have a chance.
And he has a pedigree that says he wants to run all day. Obviously, some questions because of the champagne, but that seems like an aberrational effort. And after his curling, how confident are you in the 1.25 miles of the Travers?
It's hard to be confident, but we feel like that he went from 6 to 9 furlongs very well on a wet track, and so hopefully he can handle 10 furlongs.
And you won this race for Godolphin, who you've had a long relationship, and a very positive relationship for. Is it extra special to be in races like this for Godolphin?
Yes, it is. I mean, I've been with them for 25 years, the Maktoum family. I went to Dubai in 1993, so it's great to be in these type races for them, and it's nice that we train Dance Card, the mother, and he's Bob Medagladoro, who couldn't be hotter. So if we get lucky and win a Group 1 sometime, he'll have a chance to be a stallion in Lexington.
Yeah, he's got a very good pedigree. Is he stabled over at the Green Tree Trade Center?
Yes, he is. Yes, he has the best of it all over there at the great stables.
I'm looking for an invitation over there. I've never
Anytime,
been.
come
It's
by.
a beautiful place. Kieran, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck on
Thank
Saturday.
you.
Thanks, man. I feel sorry for the people that have to follow the next guy. Trainer Dale Romans has been waiting patiently. He's bringing Everfast here, and we've got all kinds of questions for Dale. We're not going to ask Dale about the post, because if I ask Dale about the post, he's going to start yelling at me immediately. How are you, Dale?
You're better than that. Hey, now, everything's good.
Now, I think the question on everybody's lip is, where did you find this rider that nobody's ever heard of to ride in the Travers?
Well, first of all, go look up his record. He is the king of South America. And I wasn't one that found him, and this will give him a whole lot more credibility. Ramon Dominguez found him for me. And so if anybody knows a race rider, it's him. And Martin's a great kid. We brought him up after Robbie broke his arm. Brought him up last year. He was a little young.
Robbie Alvarado.
Alvarado broke his arm. And Martin came up, has been riding for us at Ellis Park, and I've just been more and more impressed. I mean, he reminds me of the great young kids that are riding up here. Saez and Ortiz and Franco. All to say they're all about the same age, and they're all very talented. And I think he's been riding so well, and we've been so lucky. Bring him up, give him a chance.
How's your relationship with his agent?
It's touch and go. His agent is my son. So if I'm riding him on all of them, he's happy. If I'm not, then he's got his mother yelling at me. But this kid is a true race rider. And I'll tell you, it's a good little story. He texted the other day. He said, when will I be able to see my name in the program? So I think he wants to take a picture of it and send it
That's
back
exciting.
to his father in Peru, which is a successful trainer there.
Is this going to be his first mount in Saratoga?
Ever.
Really? You're not going to, nobody before him?
I don't
Not
think
going
so.
to write promises fulfilled?
I don't want him more out. He's 24 years old. But no, if he picks something up, he'll like it. If anybody's out there, you're going to get a good kid early. You might got to jump in and give him a shot to ride one for you. You'd be impressed.
It's kind of interesting. He's the only horse that's ran the Haskell, and that's unusual. Get other runners. How's he been training since running the Haskell?
He's done well. He came up here training well, and we shipped down to the Haskell and ran. And, that was a very unusual day. That's when it was so hot, and all the races got postponed. And we all had built-in excuses. And if you go back before that, that was an exciting race in the Belmont to get beat 3 lengths and the big run in the Preakness, and he gave us a big thrill earlier in the year in the Holy Bull. So he's been knocking on the door with all these horses.
And you, too, are happy your friend Danny Gargan's going to be apparently putting some speed into the race.
We're going to talk about that. Danny's my man. He'll help me out. And what about Brad Cox? There's 3 Louisville boys in the 150th Travers.
We talked about this before.
My little protege's out there. Yeah.
You all must be so proud.
All right. Hey, we're all going to a redneck bar and drink later.
You, in a way, and with your friendship with the late Alan Jerkins, you're somebody like the Chief, not afraid to take a shot in big races, and it's paid off for you. And talk a little about the importance of being in the big races and having a chance.
Yeah, that's the key. Half the battle is showing up. And if you're a 3-year-old this time of year and you're training well and you're healthy and there are only 3 once, and there's only a few races that are this magnitude, and the horse deserves the right to compete with the best and get his name into history when they're doing good and running well. And we're going to be a long shot, but I think we're a live long shot, and this is the Graveyard of Champions.
All right, promises fulfilled in the forego?
Promises are doing great. That's shaping up to be a good race, too, and that division is probably the toughest there is in the country right now. That sprint to a mile, there's some good older horses that are staying out of going to the stud barns and still racing, and it's a tough, fun division. It's going to be another great race. The whole card is special. The Personal Instant is a great, short field, but great race, and if you don't watch this and you're a racing fan, you're not a true racing fan.
No, if you're a racing fan, you will be joining us Saturday. Dale, thanks as always for joining us.
I'm not done.
Best of luck. You're done.
No, come on.
The great Dale Romans. Trainer Stanley Huff, we're very fortunate that he's gotten back as a head trainer this year, in the last year, and he's had some great success. He will be represented by Scars Are Cool in this year's Travers. Stanley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Andy.
Any post thoughts?
No, we're probably going to be towards the back of the pack. We'll let Danny do all the pace setting. And, our horse, he acts like he'll go that distance, so we're going to take a shot.
He broke his maiden. He's coming right off of a maiden win. Has he been training well since that race?
He has been training well. Obviously, we didn't plan on this,
right,
but the way circumstances happened, we thought we would, put our hat in the ring.
It's a big jump.
It is a big jump. And, but we thought a lot of this horse all along. And as a 2-year-old, he worked as good as you could work. And he had problems happened and had the time. Took a couple races, but his race here was mile and an eighth and was a good race. Yeah. So we think he'll do the distance.
He has an interesting name. You want to tell everybody the story and how he got his name?
Well, we bought him as a yearling, and he had those scars. So they came from fences and whatever else. And so Kevin named him off of his literature, about the scars. So that came Scars Are Cool.
All right. That's Kevin Plank, who owns him with Sagamore Farm. Well, Stan, best of luck in this weekend's Travers, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
I think that's it. Unless anybody's seen Dallas Stewart running around with an ice cream cone, I think we're good. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for the draw for the 150th running of the Run Happy Travers. It is, as Dale Roman said, going to be a sensational day of racing this weekend. Multiple grade ones. It's going to be beautiful weather. As Dale said, no reason for any racing fan not to be participating. We look forward to all of you coming to this Saturday's running of the 150th Travers. Once again, thanks so much for everybody for joining us this evening.